So we are sitting here with Swami Kripananda ji. Namaskar, Swami.
Namaskar ji, namaskar.
So today we are going to talk about my own questions which he will answer.
Go ahead, go ahead.
About Swamiji will answer my queries which originate from my journey into the field of philosophy of yoga and spirituality as we see it. So Swamiji, please help me understand where did your journey start? I understand it was with from Iyengar, BKS.
Yeah.
Iyengar.
Well, it was not just Mr. B.K.S. Iyengar, it started much before. I believe that what happened before meeting Mr. Iyengar was basically like a foundation that was created for my journey. I was living in Bandra. I was born and raised a Catholic.
Wow.
And I was living in Bandra, and I was working and teaching yoga in a drug rehabilitation center.
Oh.
So first I met the boys. I got introduced to the boys who were in the center. It was a purely male center. The women had not started coming in a different wing. And as a result of working on those principles with them, those principles are of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous.
Wow.
So what happened for me was, unlike what most people do today, which is go straight and practice the gymnastics of yoga and do asana, I was automatically introduced to the first two stages of Ashtanga yoga. Not the brand Ashtanga, but the real Ashtanga, which is the eightfold step of yoga.
Oh, wow.
And the first two steps are Yama and Niyama, the do's and the don'ts. And working with the boys in the de-addiction center where I was, I automatically learned in a different kind of way the Yama and the Niyama of yoga. Now, the man who was running that center, who was a Catholic priest, a wonderful man who changed my life, and I owe my transformation, in fact the transmutation from what I was to the Swami that I am today, I owe it to him. Now what happened was, this man was learning yoga from Mr. B.K.S. Iyengar, being a Catholic priest. So I had no inhibitions about going into another religion, and I'm glad that was my introduction to yoga. So I had no inhibitions. I was perfectly comfortable with what I had to learn, and I learned initially with him a very pure, pristine, scientific way of practicing yoga without any of the religious, and I'm going to use a term whether people like it or not, without any religious bullshit coming along with it.
It is true, because the science, it is a science.
Yeah, it is a science.
It's older than the religion itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. To me, Maharishi Patanjali in many ways is like a scientist, not like a spiritual or religious leader. He deals and dealt rather in a spiritual science.
Well, see, Swamiji, I have studied and where the comparisons in Autobiography of a Yogi and some other books are to the same aspects in the Bible as well. The 7 stars and Jesus preaching the disciples.
Yeah.
So the science of life, I think, remains the same. That's my understanding.
Absolutely.
Which also convinced me that the mainframe religious so-called channels might be hiding because the followership reduces. So the yogi is a science or a philosophy. Now my question was regarding the experience at now yamas and niyamas. Now my problem was, while I am in the practice, rather than being a work or office, the office environment takes yamas and niyamas away. So I fall back to the same problem. While if I stay in the yogic environment, I'm more disciplined. So here is what training, while I'm here, why I wanted somebody to teach me was to take control. As the Bhagavad Gita says, the leash, of the horse, and the horse's senses in your own hand. I have faced the challenge, while at yoga school.
I want to interject. You train yourself by getting out of the work environment, but you have to go back into that same environment and apply the principles and the morals and all the other disciplines that you have learned when you are out of that environment in the environment when you have returned.
Yes.
To just stay out of that environment and create an environment of your own where everything goes well, because you're practicing these principles, these spiritual principles, would be akin to escapism.
Yes.
And a lot of people use yoga and meditation and other things to escape the rigors of normal day life. And well, if you have no choice, you might as well do it, but it's as much as good as committing yourself to an institution or to an asylum because you cannot face the world outside. So, what I see is a balance between the two. One is you go into your little shell, into your spiritual, religious, meditative environment to release all the frustrations of life and to recharge your inner batteries, but then you come back to life and face life on life's terms.
And please answer me this was also an important question which came in my mind. How much percent, I mean, in your opinion, how much important is the dietary control, vegetarianism, vegan, staying away from meat, alcohol, and drugs for the path of this yoga?
Yoga to me is a way of life. And if I try to impose my belief system on others, then it doesn't make me any better than all the other religious leaders and the religions that say that theirs is the only way. I am dark in color. I live presently in Goa, though I have been in New York and the US for 20 years and traveled the world. Now, I said I am dark for a reason because on the beaches of Goa, a lot of Caucasian white males and females, they come and they sleep in the sun because they want to get a tan. Now, just because they sleep in the sun on the beaches in Goa, in the sun, doesn't mean that I also have to do it. So, different belief systems cater to different people, and the unique individual who's really evolved creates his own belief system, taking into consideration that his belief system does not interfere or create problems for other people. In action, he doesn't have to change his belief system to suit somebody else. That's akin to being a doormat. But he has to follow his own belief system, incorporate from so many others whatever he finds best. Talking about nutrition, talking about food, I ate meat all my life. But when I came into yoga, I realized that not only was it not good for me, for my health and for my serenity, I also realized that I was killing.
Yeah.
If a man kills another man, he'll go in for a long time. But the chickens, the pigs, the fish, the cows, these are also living beings. Mind you, I don't endorse any animal to be bigger than a human.
Yeah.
And I say that purposely because many people would say the cow is a god. The cow is not a god for me, just another animal who eats and shits like everybody else. And I want to be very straight. Now, if that hurt you, I apologize. I'm talking about my belief system. I will respect your belief system about the cow, but I will not impose something on somebody whether I believe it or not. So I believe that we are all on higher stages of evolution and the human is at the highest point and needs to look higher, to go into a different level which is higher, to start worshipping animals that are lower. No. I believe this belief system came in because the cow was essential to survival of humans.
Symbolism.
No, there was an essentiality. The cow gave you milk,
Yes.
and the bulls helped you to plow the fields. And if you did not have them,
Yes.
you couldn't survive.
Yeah.
So that respect to this animal eventually turned into worship. Maybe there are lots of stories that say otherwise, and if that's what you endorse, welcome.
Well,
please.
I think I agree with you because when you are doing yoga, it doesn't matter what you pray
Really?
to. Because
Really?
because my experience is, I have idols. I've kept idols of Krishna. I've kept idols of. Never kept an idol of Shiva. No, it is something which I have never done. Although I have prayers. Now, I have carried Bhagavad Gita for about 15 years in my bag. yet I've read it twice. Well, I'm supposed to read it every day, that's what they say, because you can make parables from that into your lifestyle, like any other book. But now, as I went on to yoga, what I have noticed is that consciousness is alert. If you are eating meat, your consciousness is alert. If you're doing something which is as yamas and niyamas you were talking about, that's why I came to this point. That same happened, that I was not forcing the body not to eat meat. Although I do want to eat chicken, but my children on the dining table are eating. But they are at a different level of consciousness and I'm at a different.
Exactly. So even today, when I have a lot of my followers who have got a tremendous love for cows, I will follow with them because I respect that. So that's what I'm saying, but I endorse my own belief system.
Sure.
Okay, without interfering with the beliefs of others. When you really look at it, we are looking at meat like we are looking at carrion, like a vulture that eats dead bodies.
Exactly.
Just cooking it doesn't change it. It's a whole different composition.
Yep.
And I want to be honest with you, having said that, there have been occasions in the past where I've gone and eaten some chicken here and there.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I mean, come on, I'm a human being and I have succumbed to that urge.
Yes.
And that's why another thing I want to believe is in my yoga training, I have learned that you try to put maximum into your beliefs and into your action and into your principles and into your yoga. But hey, as a human, you will fail sometimes.
Well, yeah, if you are in a situation where there is no food, there is no grain, either you die or you eat the pork and whatever is available.
More than meat, I'm particular about onions and garlic.
Yeah.
Try getting food in the restaurants today in India without onions and garlic.
No, I seriously, I did it. After you told me, now there is a photograph here in my cell phone. Now this is very strange, it happened in Bombay. 3 days ago I was there for that show and I made a request in the hotel I was staying while ordering Chinese noodles, and this I did first time in my life. I said, go and ask the chef if he can prepare vegetarian noodles without onion and garlic. She went in there making strange face and the chef said, yes, I will. It really the taste was more, it was different.
Sattvic taste. It's a very sattvic.
But I had to use ketchup in it because it was missing that
Or
fried.
maybe the ketchup had some onion in it. Or garlic. Anyway.
So left or right, you will reach to the, so I did this, but then I gave in to the other temptation.
So
Yeah,
our conversation is very typical of yoga, the way I'm looking. Now we seem to be going into different corners. We don't have a real path. We're kind of flowing along. We are floating along.
Yeah.
But that is what yoga is. Yoga is a huge, vast subject. There is no religious inclinations to real yoga.
Yeah.
People may have fundamental ideas and try to make it into a religious path and impose certain belief structures and belief systems on others. But the real truth is, yoga is about uniting. Yoga, like religion, is to connect Atma with Paramatma, Sattvic with Rajasic,
Yes.
soul with oversoul. Whatever you want to say, it's a type of a union. And each person may get a facet of this diamond of yoga. But if that person starts imposing that aspect of his learning onto others,
Fanatism.
then it reminds me of the story where all the organs in the body decided to say that they were the ones who were the real ones,
Yes,
the
yes,
masters.
yes.
And you know what? The asshole won.
Well,
Because even the brain and the heart all could not function. So we are all looking at yoga as a unified field with many aspects.
but then yoga, I think yoga is freedom. Freedom with
Exactly,
yourself. Well, it is. I think I have kind of reached to a conclusion which, to many people, my family I'm talking about, it appears to them what has changed. Nothing has changed. Free. If you put yourself in a bottle, that's the in the box thinking. Now yoga is outside the box thinking, because and that there was one of the conclusions I'll tell you about the chicken eating. This is somewhere I read it theoretically. I don't know how correct it will be. It said the animal, well, shikar, the hunting, the energies were different in the animals. Now the poultry and all this grown up here, these chickens, they know the brother next is going to die. They all convey this message. Now when that chicken is cut and brought home, the fear of the animal goes into the... So that was the first thing. Now I am practicing onion and garlic only since you told me. I brought in, but 3 months in Rishikesh, that was also avoided. Now what was happening was slowly, 3, 4, 5 months, the fear has disappeared.
Yes.
And then you saw me climbing here. And I believe me, we humans were designed to travel mountains on foot. That's how Shankaracharya has built Kedarnath and Badrinath and all these temples which you see. We didn't even need roads and cars and X and Y and Z. That was the power of the culture of India. So it is not the yoga cannot be taken over by any religion. That is also has come out as my belief.
Coming back to the eightfold path of yoga, most people start with asana. This is how I equate yoga. I equate it to a building, a structure that is 6 stories high, with 2 levels of basement in the ground. So the yoga exercises that we do are like the ground floor, the structure that rises from the ground level. But many people have not built the foundation, which is the do's and the don'ts, the yama and the niyama,
True.
which runs underground. And if you don't have 2 floors of foundation in the basement, your structure which is going to be built will never reach the 6th floor on the top.
True.
Because there is no foundation.
Yes.
And so most of the yoga that we learn today, which is without the 2 floors underground, is only the 2 floors above ground, which is asana pranayama. And everywhere in the world today, people are doing yoga asanas and pranayama and yoga asanas and pranayama. And that's it, because it's very difficult to go to the 3rd floor, which is pratyahara, which is the 5th stage of yoga, because the yama and the niyama are absent.
True.
And you need to spend sometimes years on this little structure under the ground before you rise up.
But
and you know why?
agree.
In the earlier days, the people who lived in ashrams,
They won't be taught.
they would not be taught asana for it, sometimes even for 8 to 10 years, until there had been a profound spiritual experience, a spiritual transformation in their lives. And I was able to get this when I was doing the 12-step program with the alcoholics and addicts. So I was already prepared with that foundation, the spiritual foundation. So even though I learned asanas without going to the yama niyama of Patanjali, I initially had a very similar type of a yama niyama, which was the life transformation in the 12-step program.
True.
And that is why I was able to understand and go into pranayama, go into pratyahara, and then the last 3 stages, the 6th, 7th and 8th, are together called sanyama, which is dharana, dhyana and samadhi. So many people will say yoga is samadhi. When you can experience merging with the object of your concentration, you have attained a stage of samadhi. There are 4 stages of types of samadhi according to Patanjali, Maharishi Patanjali. There is the main one, the highest is nirvikalpa samadhi, samadhi without thought, without seed. But many yogis will say that is not the end, but the beginning of the path of yoga. Because when you have attained samadhi, then you have started walking the spiritual path.
Wow.
Of course, we have not even reached there and we are talking about being on the spiritual path. But after you have got onto the 8th stage, then other things will start happening to you. You begin to understand Vibhuti Pada, the path of spiritual power. You'll begin to understand Kaivalya Pada, the path of non-attachment, Kaivalya, with nothing, a totally, you know what, I cannot even use another word to explain that. It's Kaivalya. So there is a lot for us to learn in yoga. The world has come into yoga as a result of the necessity for people living prosperous lives without walking, without running. We have bicycles, motorcycles, we have cars, scooters, we use elevators. And because our bodies were getting destroyed,
We came up with
we
this.
came up with yoga. So we started with the asana.
But-
And now slowly people around the
But
world are
Swamiji,
beginning to understand
yeah.
spirituality.
See, now
They're
you
going
agree.
backwards.
You agree that there is two yogas. One is American yoga, and one is the Eastern.
I
Eastern
don't
yoga.
want to call it American. I've
No,
lived
I
20
can-
years
I
in
can.
America and I'm going to go back there. I don't want to get slaughtered.
Well, I will say it anyhow because my knowledge, as much as I know, there is always, America is famous for this, to take the good, not the all. They are not interested in the spirituality because spirituality becomes complicated. It associates itself with the religion, and a lot of things happen.
You can't make money with spirituality, let's be
True,
honest.
true. A true spiritual being, while if we are going to teach every human being, then who will work? Because the bliss you are in,
Ananda.
yeah, then if all is sitting in Ananda, then there is no person who will buy marijuana. Now my knowledge, look how far I went. When I went to Kedarnath, my driver is saying to me, Babuji, there, Babuji, there, this, there, that. And I'm like, my journey is there, let me finish this. But these things exist. On a Kedarnath journey, these things are existing, left, right. After you finish the journey, these same people call me Brahmachari. They take me to langars and they feed me by force. Because now I have shown that for what I went walking in now. I realized and learned there are no drugs. Who said Shiva never took any drugs? So whole culture of smoking and using name of Lord Shiva, the Ananda talked in all the books was the bliss of meditation. And that we see on your face. I was going through your, this has to go on the video because being with the Rishikesh yogis, you can make out who is in bliss. And then I was reading Kriya Yoga book by Heidi and she says, the Swamiji is always smiling.
I don't want to generalize this.
But on
This
the
is not a
COVID-
general. It is a generalization maybe, but in my experience, the ones who are really happy with yoga are broke all the time.
Broke because they...
And then there is the businessman Swami, the businessman yogi,
Yeah.
who's got thousands of followers, huge ashramas, thousands of people coming there, and he's giving them certifications to prove that they are yoga teachers. And that is a different kind of a Swami, a different kind of a yogi that you will find today. Fortunately, I don't belong to that class.
Yeah.
I still have an old Maruti that I drive in Goa. And even though I've taught in 38 countries, I've not been able to make money because I was too busy loving my yoga. I was too passionate about my work, and I still am. I don't even fight for my family property. My brother has got a yoga studio in Switzerland. Maybe he can take that. But I have property which nobody else can have. I have a property within here. And I have never starved, and I never will starve, because there is something that I feel when I go in my meditation that keeps me going. I put $200 in my pocket when I was in New York, went to 15 countries in Europe, and returned with $250 in my pocket 3 months later.
Well, that is true. I agree with it.
How
because-
did I do it? I still don't know.
No, this
When I
is-
come out of this
I
zone
don't-
and I go like, what? Did I really do that?
Well, I'll tell you, Swamiji, one interesting thing happened. It's a video recording is there in my phone. This was Badrinath journey. The car broke down. Car never breaks. Innovas, Innovas are, and the drivers are trained, 25 years experience on those roads. So we were driving and the car stopped. He's saying, I'm sick. He parked under a tree. I took out a cigarette. I went outside. And there was nobody, we didn't cross anybody. I mean, there are Swamis traveling, walking. After I finished the cigarette, there is one guy in white clothes, Swamiji, sitting next to the bag, Innova. Everybody goes to Badrinath, nobody stops. They're all busy. I said, yes, Swamiji, I know. I listened to him, his story, where is he from? He said, if I am alone. So, I said, to carry you, that was the point, to carry him to Badrinath because he was now tired. He needed a lift. He had to ask the driver. Driver rejected. I gave Swamiji 500 rupees. He said, I am a Swami. I don't touch money.
I touch money.
Well, I'm telling you,
I know what you mean.
to
Yes.
what extent.
Yes, I respect that
Yeah.
discipline.
So
of his.
this man, this was my experience last year, 2018. He said, I don't touch money. Okay. So now we know who will touch money, the driver. So I gave 500 to the driver. Swamiji sits there, and now we are asking him question. Swamiji this, Swamiji this, Swamiji this. He is not into yoga teaching, no. He is only, I said, who gives you orders? He said, Mata, mother. He is talking about the eternal earth.
The
mother,
Divine Mother.
Divine mother.
It's there in all religions. In some religions you'll say Gaia.
Yeah.
In some you'll say Safiya.
Yeah.
Some you'll say Mata.
So it's the
Devi.
connected. This guy was connected. Swamiji, we called him for a tea. No, upvas. Between Kedarnath and Badrinath is 250 kilometers. And I said, what are you doing, upvas? Where is your shoe? No, I don't need. Where will you sleep? Says, mother has made arrangement. And I said on this last year I've been to Badrinath twice. So I said I've seen God, and my duty is done first time for what I came here. So that explains me how much energy there is untapped energy and money. I think you are right when you say you only need enough. Either you leave it on the Divine Mother, like this Swamiji was, or never to be greedy. Oh, where will we take it? I don't understand why we have, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, billions, trillions. It's just numbers.
You know, if you look at yoga, you divide the body into 3 angas,
Yes.
3 bodies. Baharanga, the outer body. Antaranga, the inner body. And Madhyanga, the middle body.
Yeah.
Now in yoga we say there are 5 kosyas or 5 elements in these 3 bodies.
Koshas, yeah, yes.
The external body
Yes.
has got the Annamaya kosya, which is the element of nutrition.
Yes.
The internal body has got the Anandamaya kosya,
Yeah.
which is the element of bliss, Ananda.
Yes.
And in the middle body you have the Pranamaya kosya, Manomaya kosya and Vijnanamaya kosya, the element of breath or the life force prana, the element of Manomaya, mind, and the element of Vijnanamaya, the intelligence. The way I look at it is your external body links to your internal body, and that's your spiritual journey in the microcosm that you are,
Wow.
not the macrocosm. And the link is 3 bridges of breath, mind and intelligence.
Yeah.
And you have to have either one of those or a combination of 1, 2 or 3 of these in order to walk along the path. So you take a combination of 3 bridges, and at any point and in any way that you go, you get millions of combinations. But the first bridge is of breath. That is why you first encounter your breath, and that is why people study pranayama before they go into meditation. Now, the second bridge is the breath of mind, manomaya. Now the mind is not the thought. If I close my eyes and look at my toes, I can actually take my attention to my toes. That is also mind. So the second bridge is manomaya. Now this bridge of manas, manomaya, is also connected to the mahat. So my mind, individual mind, is connected to my universal mind. And it is there that people learn to channel. So powerful Swami is not necessarily powerful but very weak, because in his weakness he has connected himself to the universal mind, and all the so-called power is what he is just channeling to you. That's the second bridge. And the third bridge is the bridge of intelligence, which I work with a lot, because it's more of like what the earth would call supernatural.
Supernatural.
But the science of tomorrow is what the miracles of today are.
Exactly.
So the miracles of today are the science of tomorrow. If my great-grandfather was here right now, He would not believe. He's not seen video cameras, he's not seen planes, he's not seen roads with buildings running at 70 miles an hour on those roads. We call them double-decker buses.
Yes.
He's lots of things that he has not seen.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that we have advanced. So that is the intelligence which I was coming to basically, is where I work with a lot, and that is where Shaktipat comes in.
True,
Because
true.
it goes beyond the conscious mind. It goes beyond thought, where you take on the energy of the universe.
But see,
And then you use that energy of that universe to transform people's lives by giving them Diksha. And so these three bridges,
Yeah, yeah.
but even the person who gives Diksha will also train you pranayama and manoma and meditation.
But see,
A
Swami,
person who teaches meditation will also teach you breath. So understand this, because
I
this
will
is the spiritual path.
bring this topic.
Mhm.
It's off the topic, not yoga. There is a word called cottage. Cottage. A Scottish word, cottage. It's similar to kutia. Now, kutiyas are found in Himalayas. And the masons of Scotland are world famous. While living in Scotland now 12 years and altogether 14 years in Europe, my understanding was that the masons had similar, Templars, masons had similar techniques, similar know-how, something about breathing techniques and rituals, as they call it mysticism. They have been hunted by their church as well. Like yogis. And then I even met a Templar. And this happened in September last year. This gentleman, whose name is Sandy.
You might not want to give his name on the video.
Mr. Sandy somewhere.
Okay.
I met him in my journey, many Sandys. So this gentleman, and everybody knows that, and the things he told are that he has tapped into it. Then I studied more, and people have realized there was a time when the church will not allow it. But now, from my own knowledge, I was gaining that they are also accepting that an alternate energy exists, and we are all part of it. So I said, okay, well, very good. That means where? How do you do it? All in all, somebody does it, karate does it in a karate chop. So when I went back from yoga, I've met my karate friend, and he was, man, I'm also secretly doing sun worship, but I can't tell people. Okay, very good, but you never told me. You know me for last 6 years. Well, you were not at the same mind as me. So then you see, we all connect.
Yeah.
But some people we agree, even a karate teacher, the one who runs a school with 55 children, never told me that he does exactly the same. I think we are ashamed of accepting.
There are a lot of other factors also involved. If he's running a karate school and he says certain things,
Yes.
he may lose a lot of his following.
I guess so.
And at the end of the day, people are more interested in the business.
Exactly.
So it's something that happens. But anyway, I think we have come to the end of our little discussion today. I really hope we can have some more. And thank you for inviting me. And it'll be nice to continue with this.
Very good. Thank you very much for being here. Namaskar.
Namaskar, everybody.